Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. I am so excited to see you all here and thrilled to be welcoming Phoebe Sherman. And uh, just a quick intro here. I'm Allison Yee. I'm the founder and CEO of Up Next and the Retail Playground. I'm joined by some of our awesome team and very excited to be talking all about partnerships and how to level up your business with Phoebe Sherman of Girl Gang Craft. I am going to let Phoebe do most of the introduction about her incredible business, but I first connected with Phoebe at an event a little over a year ago, I want to say, and I, I don't know how I had missed her journey until then. It is truly phenomenal. She is making waves on both coasts of the United States and probably lots of other places in between. And Phoebe, one of the things I admire about you most is that you are incredibly transparent in the way that you run your business and share your story and how challenging entrepreneurship can be, but also how rewarding. And wanting to just bring that to the forefront of the conversation. And you don't shy away from any topics, whether it's politics or feminism or whatever it may be. And I think that is really brave and wonderful and beautiful. And I am really honored to have you here today speaking transparently about monetizing partnerships and leveraging different resources for your business, because that's what we're all about in the retail playground, bringing resources to the forefront for amazing retail entrepreneurs who are trying to navigate this very complicated world of retail that we're living in with things changing very regularly. So we have a really great group who I know will have lots of questions for you. Kristen's going to be moderating in the chat, and Phoebe, I know you have a presentation prepared and are going to open it up to questions at the end, right? So without further ado, I would love you to take it away. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Allison. That was such a lovely intro. Hi, everyone. I'm Phoebe. My business is called Girl Gang Craft, and I would love to hear where you all are tuning in from. So maybe you can drop it in the chat. I assume a lot of you are sort of greater Massachusetts, Boston area, but I would love to know where you're tuning in from and also like what kind of business you have that can help me steer the direction. I assume most of you have product-based businesses, but um, yeah, maybe just a couple details in the chat about who you are, where you're tuning in from, and what you do, and I'll get my presentation up here. I do want to see the chat too. Okay, yeah, and so my plan is to offer questions at the end, but if you have a quick question that you think is really relevant to what we're discussing at the time, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm pretty comfortable with keeping an eye on the chat as well. So let's see, we have some product-based businesses here, Paper Treasures, amazing, a metalsmith, or women's clothing brand, amazing. Okay, cool. So, a little bit about me as well. So, I'm also curious if you've heard of Girl Gang Craft before you heard about it from Retail Playground. I don't know, just maybe a yes or a no in the chat if you've heard of Girl Gang Craft. We are a femme forward community for creatives. I'm originally based out of the Bay Area in California and moved over to Salem, Massachusetts 2021. And we got our start throwing craft fairs. I created a political feminist apparel line and accessory line in 2016. I was sort of showing that under my own name in California. And then was looking for events to show and sell my work at, and was finding that some of these events were really expensive and exclusive. And so I wanted to create my own event. And so I gathered 16 of my friends at a small 16 of my like creative friends that I had met in the craft fair world and gathered them at a friend's cafe. And that was the first Girl Gang Craft. And we've sort of exploded since then and had events, all over California. And when I moved over to New England, we started throwing events all over New England. I still have my apparel line. I created a little mini agency this past year, where I not only get brand partnerships for myself, but for a few of my clients as well. It's just a small agency. We're sort of in the beta of that. And we've had various activations around community and a podcast. Um, if you're already following me, there's our QR code if you're not already following us. But you know that I also stopped events this past year. They weren't working, and I am moving forward in different ways, focusing on education and monetizing my social media, which we are talking about today. So let's see if these arrows are going to work. Nope. Okay. But today we are talking about partnerships. So that will be the focus of today's presentation. And I want to give you not only the how, but sort of what are partnerships, and a little bit of my inside scoop and path with partnerships as well. Yeah, and then make sure you follow me at Girl Gang Craft. That was the QR code. And then my personal Instagram as well as at Phoebe Sherman. And that's a little bit more fashion, DIY, art related. Personal art practice related. So these are some partners that I've worked with throughout the years. I've been working with partners 2020, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And as you can see, there's some pretty big names up there. So I was a yoga teacher for 7 years. And that's sort of how I got my start with Instagram, promoting my classes and promoting my work through Instagram. And I partnered with clothing brands and yoga clothing brands on Instagram in collab posts. And I think that word is sort of still used, but back when I was using that, that sort of meant that I was posting in exchange for the clothing. So yoga clothes, some small businesses, some swimsuits, things like that. Brands would send me their product, and I would just do a single picture post about it, which obviously the landscape has sort of changed since then. So that's how I got my start, and that was really good practice pitching myself. And then 2020 happened, and obviously we shut down our events. So I had to figure out how to survive, how to make money. And one of the ways, actually, let me go back just a little bit. Before that, we were having our craft fairs, and I had started getting partners to work with us in person. So folks like Get Around and some of the Topo Chicos and Revive Kombucha, the drink companies, they would pay us a fixed fee that was significantly higher than our vendor fees to partner with us to get in front of real people at our events. So that was my sort of first big ticket partnerships. And then in 2020, we didn't have events, and I had to figure out how to work with partners digitally. And I didn't think of myself as an influencer. And we can talk a little bit more about that word, but ultimately, I don't think it's a bad word. And ultimately, I think we all have influence. But a lot of us have creative business practices, and it takes a little bit of work to wrap our mind around the brand partnership concept and doing influencer work. So let's see. Yeah, in 2020, I started working with Adobe. I actually had people working with me still at the beginning of 2020 before I went down to solo entrepreneurship for 2020 as well. and started working with Adobe and Square and finding ways to team up with big businesses to get the word out about these big businesses to my niche specific audience. And that journey has continued in various ways. And I can talk a little bit about the type of partnerships I've done throughout the years. So the sort of more obvious one are videos. Um, and the thing about this is we're calling this workshop out of the box, right? Out of the influencer box. But this really takes I really want to use out of the box thinking for pitching as well. How can you think creatively about these projects to entice these big businesses to want to work with you? So, we've done videos, and that video can live on your page. It could live just on their page, and that's typically called UGC content, user-generated content. It can exist in a combination. Obviously, we have those collab posts now too, where it can exist on both pages. And then there's also this ads thing. So it could even not exist on both of those pages and just be an ad, and they throw money at the ad. So there's lots of different ways that that video can work. In-person events, workshops. If you have any sort of in-person event, it should be pretty easy to get drinks and snacks donated. But again, we're talking about monetization. We want to get you paid for these things. But if you want to start with trades, getting free product, that's a good place to start. Blog posts, email blasts, booth activations, goodie bags, giveaways, trades, podcast commercials, UGC. Last year, I made $50,000 in partnerships alone in 2024. And I want to show a few of my past videos that I've done. So let's see if we can get sound to work over here, but if not to, just we can get the impression of them. Let's see. So I want to share Wisp. This was a project that I really liked doing for Wisp is a femtech company, and you can like see a doctor online or a nurse practitioner and get care right away, either sent to you or sent to the pharmacy. So this was about UTI care. Wait, hurts when I pee.
Oh, I'm sorry, babe. Doesn't cranberry juice help?
Does. Do we have any? Is this working? No, I'm not sharing my screen.
Cranberry sauce.
Oh my God.
We can hear it, but we can't see it.
You can hear it. Okay. Let's see if we can. Babe, it's supposed to be cranberry juice, not cranberry sauce, like the sour kind, like real cranberry juice.
Didn't you see something about the same day UTI care provider?
Oh my God, you're so right. Like Wisp or something. Let me check it out. Looks like on Wisp, I can connect with the provider and pick up UTI care at the pharmacy all today. They even offer preventative options.
One day later.
How you feeling, babe?
So much better. Okay, anyways, you get the idea of that. So I really like to be really silly and like as real as I can be in some of these things, although I wasn't that real because I didn't have a UTI at the time. But this kind of has nothing to do with my business, but it has everything to do with my audience, right? I'm femme forward. My audience is femme forward, and we all get UTIs, right? We all need help at the doctor. And this is sort of a side note, but I tried to get a dermatologist appointment locally, and I couldn't get a dermatologist appointment until January. So I don't know if there's doctor backups or any sort of thing. They don't do dermatology at Wisp, but that's an example, right? You can get help there. So anyways, that's a silly video. I want to show you a couple others. This is product based. So this might have more to do with some of you.
The mail, and it is so freaking cute. I'm so excited to plan my year now, and actually you can choose which month it starts. So I chose December, and I can start planning for my busy season right now. I had so much fun fully customizing my planner. There are over 50 layouts to choose from, and all the layouts can be edited based on your planning preference. I chose the ultimate goal planner layout because, well, obviously Virgo here, and added in personalizations like a spot to put what I'm grateful for and my 3 main goals of each week. I also ordered fun priority stickers that say yoga and Pilates and gym on them so I can plan my exercise also, along with holiday stickers to really get festive this season. All of the planners are made in the US and Plum Paper is woman founded. I just got my Plum Paper.
Okay, and let me show you one more.
Max is take what you need or save your juice, as my mama says. Listen to your body and go at your own pace. Do take workshops that make sense for your niche. Do meet new creatives, but also take that break if you need it. Bring a snack. Take the afternoon by the pool or the beach and do splurge for that $30 pina colada. Party all night with your friends or call it quits early and eat your dinner in your hotel room. The experience is yours to create. Do bring something to trade with other creatives, follow each other on socials, and cheer each other on for life.
Okay, so those are just some examples. I also want to share this other WISP project that I did after this project, after the UTI project. I had reached out to them after that project went live because I had seen that they had worked with another artist, artist Colette, on some vulva hair clips. And I have my uterus pin. Do I have it somewhere close by? I don't, but I have a little uterus pin. And I wanted to see if they were interested in doing anything with the uterus pen, like a free gift with purchase or something. So they bought 100 of them. And when you buy Plan B, a 6-pack of Plan B right now for the next month, you get a free uterus pin. So that's kind of fun too, to sort of think about how you can, especially if you're a product-based business, like how we can sort of mix our modes and mix what we do in partnerships that can be fruitful for everyone. So I just wanted to share that as an example also. Okay, brand deal myths. I want to pull up the chat too. There we go. Okay. Brand deal myths. So, myth. You need to be an influencer to work with brands. Myth. You need to have tons of followers to work with brands. Myth. I'm a product-based business. I can't do any partnerships. All of these are myths. You don't need to identify as an influencer to work with brands. You can be a product-based business owner. You can be a service-based business owner. Everyone can tap into this revenue stream if they want to. And I think you should want to because it can be quite fruitful. I also want to say that there's tons of other opportunities working with partners besides just the money and the one-time transaction. Working with Adobe has been so powerful to me, not only financially, but I've gotten press. I've been invited to their conferences. I've been invited to their San Francisco office to do lives. Like there's so much opportunity that can happen. And let's see, what was I going to say? That's that. You don't need to have tons of followers to work with brands, especially with this sort of UGC concept. A lot of folks are just making content, not for their own page also. And then you also, if you have a very specific niche audience, like brands want to target that audience. So you don't need to have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. If you have a niche specific audience, and you have a good idea, brands are going to want to work with you. And then also the product-based business, since I think a lot of that has to do with you all. You can still work with partners. And one of the examples that I like to give is, let's say you're a ceramicist and you make a lot of mugs. Team up with a coffee brand, right? That's not a competitive thing for you, and it's a good match. You need a coffee mug and you need some coffee, right? So thinking about partners that really that can be aligned, and partners that can work for your audience, and partners that want to access your audience. I like to talk about partnerships in relationship to feudalism, and especially if you have any sort of anti-capitalistic practice, it can feel weird or uncomfy to work with big brands. And I'd like to offer that these are your boundaries. You can decide what brands you want to work with. You know, maybe you want to work with Michaels because they are super aligned and they give to the campaigns you like, but maybe you don't want to work with Target for the opposite reason, right? So these are your decisions, and you can decide what your boundaries are in terms of what companies you decide to work with. However, I like to talk about feudalism because back in the day, artists would get paid from kings and queens to support their art practice, right? They would get paid to stay at the castle or whatever and make their art. And we do, live in an oligarchy right now. So what does that mean for you? How can we be okay with taking corporate money? How can we let that fuel us and support our lifestyle? And then finding brands that are aligned too. Like I talked, right, about finding the brands that are aligned with your values, and thinking about brands that make sense for your audience. So it doesn't have to like directly fold into your mission. You can get creative. So you can write like a list of brands that you love through just brainstorming, right? You could also use ChatGPT, and then also take note of the ads that you get served because those probably could be a good fit. So when you're in Instagram or whatever platform, I like Instagram for saving things, right? You click on the little save folder or click on the little save icon, and you can start a folder of brand partnerships that you want to, brands that you want to outreach to. And then look around your house. What do you have around your house? What are you always using? What do you use in your shop? Thinking about who your audience is and who wants to access them. So, for example, does your business attract moms? You could work with baby brands. Is your audience mostly femme? Work with femme health tech, right? Again, I don't do any UTI or doctor work, but I am politically aligned and, femme forward. Do you attract creatives, right? Work with creative tech brands. Maybe cannabis has nothing to do with your brand, but you know that a lot of your audience partakes in cannabis. So maybe that makes sense. Cannabis is sort of a new frontier also. So I think it's interesting to dabble there. I also want you to think about who has money, right? Your small next door mom and pop store maybe isn't going to pay you a bunch of money, but like Adobe might, right? So thinking about what your goals are for what kind of businesses you want to work with and who has money to pay you. Take a sip of water. And then I included some retail examples because I know you are all retail adjacent. So like what website do you use? What payment processing do you use? Square, Shopify? other tech, femtech, again, thinking about who has money to give you. And I like to shoot for like big to medium sized brands. Um, Big to medium sized brands that have funding, like maybe Walmart and Target aren't going to be as accessible to you as someone like Adobe or Wisp or Planoly. So thinking about that access and thinking about the money part too. Craft supplies, local businesses, maybe again, who has the money? So maybe it's not your small coffee shop, but maybe the hotel, it's a hotel group that has some money or the restaurant has some money. I think the local business one could be really interesting. What do you use around your house? What do you use around the store? What do your customers use? I would love for you to throw in the chat if any of you have done any brand partnerships yet already. Paid or unpaid. Okay. So how on earth do we get in touch with these brands? And I would like to say this is the hardest part of the process, or maybe one. Maybe the follow-up is also hard. I want you to think about these are actual people that you're reaching out to. So yeah, they belong to a big business or they work at a big business, but they're still people. So maybe you wouldn't talk to them the same way that you would talk to, someone on your social media, but maybe you have a little bit more professional tinge, if you will. But these are real people that you're connecting with. You've done paid and unpaid partnerships with influencers. So I also want to acknowledge, since most of you are product-based businesses, I'm not talking about this today, but there's also the opposite concept, right? Like you could start an influencer program. You could start working with other influencers to highlight your product. So that's something to think about as well. I am not super in that world, but I could answer some basic questions if you have questions about that later as well. Okay, so 3 ways to find the people at the company, right? You're not reaching out to Adobe. You're reaching out to the community manager of Adobe Express. That's the person that you want to reach out to. So, couple ways to do this. The DM. You can find this person or this company on social media and you can DM them. A couple things about the DM. One, you're going to comment on one of their posts first that you have DM'd them. That's going to hold them accountable, and that is going to make them see the DM. 2, don't have a full long partnership discussion in the DM. You're going to move to email. So I do in the next slide have a script for you to use. So that'll be helpful. But you're going to say something basically like, I'd love to work with you. Where can I send my media kit? What's a good email to send my media kit to? Okay. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit more of like a longer game, if you will. And you're going to want to find a title of someone that is adjacent. So unfortunately, that is not regulated across the span of the world, but some keywords that you could look for are marketing, partnerships, influencer marketing, and you'll get more comfy with that. But again, everyone has completely different like titles at all these different businesses. And you might reach out to like several people from one company. That's cool. That's fine. The other thing about LinkedIn, right, is if you're not paying for it, you only get a certain amount of connections with messages. So you could consider paying for LinkedIn. I do little like a few month sprints when I'm really reaching out to new people on LinkedIn. And then so I'll pay for it for the next few months or something and then cancel it because it's like $50 a month or something. And then you get, I don't think it's unlimited connections, but it's significantly more. And it like reshuffles at the end of each month. So on LinkedIn, you would find the right person, send them a message, and people have different ways of going about this. Maybe you would just say thanks for connecting and like really be in touch with them for a long game. I'm a little bit more impatient, and I would say something like, I would love to connect with you, and ask for their email right away. That's maybe not everyone's motto, or maybe that doesn't work for everyone. But I have gotten some great connections on LinkedIn, specifically, let's see, Culture Pop was a good one, and I got connected with them pretty quickly, and they sponsored our winter events. So, and they're local, they're Boston. Let's see. So I'm, again, not a LinkedIn expert. There are tons of other people who are LinkedIn experts. And it takes some time. I do also post on LinkedIn, and that's new to me, like this year. And I use it almost like a portfolio of brand partnerships. That is sort of my thing. So I posted, that I spoke at Alt Summit. I posted that Adobe flew me out to speak at the live. I also posted the video about ending events. So a little bit more of not posting everything from my Instagram on there. I am posting, I don't want to say top of funnel because that's not quite right, but like top content, if you will, on LinkedIn. And I don't know how many people it's getting seen by. And I'm posting that on Phoebe Sherman and not my Girl Gang Craft page. And I also don't know if that's correct, but I am just seeing what happens there on LinkedIn. That's sort of a new frontier for me. And then the last way is you just find their email. So a lot of companies now have a PR email on their website. And I think that's a good direct person to reach out to. You could also reach out to their hello at or info at and know that that's not the immediate person you want to talk to, and ask for who you want to talk to in that email. So these are all good options. And again, it's a little bit of a trial and error situation. Maybe you do, all three for the same company. I think that's all I want to say about that. And then follow up. The patriarchy tells us to not follow up. Please follow up. You're following up several times, at least 2 follow-ups, so that's 3 emails total. I also use Boomerang, which is amazing if you're pitching partners and if you're pitching wholesalers too. So if you're someone who does a lot of wholesale pitching, I love Boomerang. Boomerang is like a Chrome extension that connects to your Gmail. And so you type your email, you can also schedule send, and then you can schedule when it pops back in your inbox. So I'll do like 7 days. And you can also track if they've read your email, which I love. It's so fun. It's so great. So I do recommend Boomerang. I'm not an affiliate for them. I don't think they have an affiliate program. And I think it's like $5 a month. So it's totally, totally worth it. And then stay organized, a spreadsheet or Asana. So I'll just quickly show you my Asana too. And I'm not currently paying for my Asana. I'm using the free version. Partners 2025. So like I try to stay really organized, in conversation with, current, next up, who I'm talking to, if I've talked to them in LinkedIn. I don't think this is my current board, actually. Anyways, I might have 2 boards on here. But anyways, if if you talk to them on LinkedIn, if you DM'd them, keep track of that. This does say 2025, but I don't think this is my current board. Anyways, let's see. Present. And you could just do that in a spreadsheet also. This is my brand script. So if you use that QR code, you should be able to download my brand script. And that has a DM example and sort of a workflow example and email examples too. You also probably want to send a media kit. I do have a media kit template on my website. I think it's less than $10, and you can use that with Canva. I'll leave this up for just a couple seconds. Okay. Okay. So, right, you DM people, you move to email. They get a yes, you get a yes, maybe through email. Or perhaps I like to get people on a phone call or on a Zoom. But some people just say yes and they just want to email with you. And like, that's great too. We love that. But I like to get people on a call if they're ghosting me or slow to respond or any of those things. And then you're gonna figure out what they want. What are their goals for the year? What products are they trying to highlight? What is their specific audience? For instance, I thought I was a really good fit for Vistaprint. Okay. And I finally got a hold of someone and they said yes. And then they said, we're going to really focus on mom bloggers right now. And so I got that no. So like figuring out they will tell you what they want, or you might have to like figure out what they want to prove how it is aligned with your brand. You're going to send over a proposal afterwards, and with pricing and deliverables, like set a deadline, make it happen. This person might also ghost you for a little bit. You might need to chase them for a little bit. You might get a yes, and then it's still a journey to connect with them. So keep that in mind. I have gotten on calls with folks, gotten yeses, sent them proposals, and then they've come back with, can you do this for free? So that will happen. That will happen. Okay, so just a quick shout out to Adobe Acrobat. So okay, you've gotten a yes. They're gonna send you a contract most likely. Most big companies are gonna send you a contract. If the contract is not just in a PDF format, it might even be in a hub. Like they might have, like Grin is a hub that a lot of folks have started using for influencer marketing. They might send you a contract in the hub, but most likely they'll send you a contract. If they don't send you a contract, that's a little bit of a red flag, but also some people are really casual too. So you kind of have to trust your gut and like figure out how you want to push back against that. If you want to have your own contract, that's something. I don't have a contract with Printify. I do videos for them twice a month. They always pay me on time. They never sent me over a contract. That's not something I suggest like getting yourself into, but that's what's happening right now. They don't use my contract. They don't use my content. I've had no problems with them. Knock on wood. Like, I don't know. I don't suggest that. I do suggest having a contract with folks. But I like to use Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant to summarize contracts, ask for deliverables, and find clarity on things like usage rights, payment schedules, due dates, hashtags, and more. And you can also sign and request signatures. So this is really cool. This QR code right here will give you Adobe AI Assistant prompt guide. I'm going to pull it up really quickly too, because I think it's really cool. This is a gifting contract with rugs.com. And just hold tight for a second. And the thing about Adobe AI Assistant is they're not using other people's information. They're not like dredging the internet. Like they're just pulling from the PDF that you put in front of it. And it comes with Creative Cloud. So if you're already using Creative Cloud, then it comes with your program. Hold on, I have to sign in. Okay, maybe I won't do that. But maybe at the end if I can do that, or if you guys have questions about it. But like you can sort of see here on the side that it immediately pulls up a quick summary, and then it even gives you key questions to ask. So my favorite thing is finding out like the due dates and the payment schedules and usage rights. So usage rights we haven't talked about yet, but that's really important. I would not sign away your forever usage rights. That means like a brand could take your content and use on their socials and their website and run ads forever. Like, please be really wary about that. And then with AI Assistant, they can pull out what those usage terms are. So I would suggest like I'll have a flat fee for a video. And then like if they want 6 months usage, that's like an additional $1,000 or something. So really keeping an eye on those usage terms, and like you can literally ask that right there in AI Assistant. And I think hashtags are important, and like deliverables, what they expect too. And then pay me. You want to figure out how they get paid. So they might have their own system. Again, like I mentioned, Grin, maybe they do ACH transfer. Printify pays me via PayPal, and it charges like 3% each time. So we've talked about them adding on 3% each time. And so they go ahead and do that for me each time. If you're using Square or QuickBooks or any of that, that's an extra 3%. So I would add that on top of your pricing. You can always take a check. I take checks all the time. And I make my invoices on QuickBooks. And it's really important. I'll show you my payment system. It's really important to keep track of your invoices and getting paid. So like this is this month. So making sure that your invoice is sent and when you get paid, like, because you don't want to forget about getting paid. Like that's silly and that sucks. You want to make sure that you're getting paid. And I've never really had to chase after someone, but I have like forgotten it. It just gets messy. So you just want to make sure that like all of your projects are written down and that you're keeping track of your invoices and getting paid, period. Okay. And then it's important to remember, right, that these are really real people. So I like to do things like holiday thank you cards. You could do a real thank you card or like an online one. I like to use the Adobe Express to make like a little fun animated thank you card. And think about like long-term partnerships are like ideal. They're better. You're not like pitching new people all the time. So if you can find like a company that wants to continue to work with you, or like a set thing for the year, like Printify, I'm working with Printify 2 videos every month for the whole year. And like that's amazing to know that I have that income to rely on. And like you also get more comfy with the content, right? It becomes much easier to make content over and over again in different ways for the same brand, right? You get practice with that. But so once you've done like one video with someone, reach out again. Ask if you can do another project. Ask how it went on their end. Like get feedback. Like don't be scared to ask for feedback because you can just speak to that or learn from it or figure out, what else they're looking for too. Okay. we have time for questions now. Here's my brand script again. Here's my QR code for following me. And I know that there's a couple more things in the chat too, so I will pull that up. Okay. We have some questions. Okay, lots of questions. Let's see. Do you find it's hard to provide your own contract and have a larger company execute it without major changes? I do prefer when they provide their contract and then I comb it. My dad's a lawyer, so I do have we love a contract. But I do think the Adobe AI assistant has been like really, really crucial for like combing the deliverables. And it does like little annotations. So it'll say the summary and then it'll point to where that is in the contract. So you can really like, it's not just like spitting out non-facts, like it's connected to the contract. So that's really helpful. I actually don't have a contract to send out. I haven't needed one, but I have contracts for other things, and you can hire a lawyer to write out a contract. I've hired lawyers to write out contracts for other things, and like my trademark, et cetera, things like that. Expand on how to position yourselves for partnerships. Yeah. So in my brand script, I think that will help you. I think it'll help you to talk about your audience. I think it'll help you to show previous work. So maybe you don't have partnership work to show yet, but you can show your either a really high quality reel, right? Or one that performed really well. Maybe ideally both. But as we know, that doesn't always match up. So showing your reach and showing your specific niche audience and how it matches with the company. Like the product placement one for the uterus pin. I just want to see if I have one right here. Hold on. Here's my little uterus pin, if you haven't already seen it. So we're okay. I have my self view turned off. So like that felt really aligned because I had already seen that they had worked with another artist doing a vulva hair clip. So I just asked, and you get, I think I know that we have a hard time asking for things, as women, as femme folks, as creatives. And the thing about asking and showing up and emailing 3 to 4 to 5 times, it gets easier. But you're not going to have a project happen if you don't follow up. So I think that's a huge part of it. How can I create a stronger community around my textile brand and engage customers beyond just selling products? That's definitely a social media question, and I can speak to that as best I can. And I would say that there's not a one size fit all solution, but coming to social, really thinking about your audience and not just showing your item over and over again, thinking about why your item matters to your community. And I do think being like transparent and showing your behind the scenes can really help. And making sure that you stay engaged with your community through commenting, through like on your own stuff, maybe on their stuff, through polls, through stories, really just trying to stay connected. I love, in-person events too, obviously, participating in other people's craft fairs, throwing your own workshops, like making those in-person connections are going to be really strong as well. I do also have a social media class too, on my website too, about making videos. And can you talk about how you're pricing yourself? Yes. This is a great question. So it really depends. It really depends. In my media kit currently, I have some pricing. No one reads my media kit. They maybe look at the pretty pictures. Perhaps my prices have changed since they saw my media kit 6 months ago. And that's been how long the conversation has been. So sometimes I really spell it out. For instance, I have been talking with Banner Buzz for forever, 6 months, 8 months. And we're getting now maybe to a yes. And I like spelled out my rates. I spelled out the project idea. Like I am spelling it out. It's like it's a courtship, right? So maybe at the beginning you're like giving a bunch of ideas or like thinking about like these are the several ways that we could work together. And then as you carry on the conversation, it becomes more and more specific. So again, it's not a one size fit all options. And it is complicated often about how you're talking about the pricing. But I also think it's important to be upfront first because they're going to ask you to do the work for free at some point. And we're not going to do the work for free. So, and then how I'm like actually pricing myself. I mean, think about how much you want from doing a video. Like, how much is it going to be worth your time? And that's the bare minimum. Okay. We also didn't talk about this, but there's a lot of websites out there that have projects and campaigns, things like Popular Pays, #paid, the Lobby. The Lobby is a in-kind partnership where you get products for videos. I'm trying to not do those anymore, but if there's something I really would like and it's an easy lift for me, often maybe I'll scroll those websites and then email them anyways, or just like browsing ideas for what kind of businesses to work with. There's like some skincare ones that I've done recently that I've just like, that's fine. I'll just do a TikTok for it. It doesn't really have to do with Girl Gang Craft. So I'm not going to do it on my Instagram, but like, fine, the skincare looks really nice. Like, sure, I'll do like a quick video. So really deciding what you can put into this and how much you want to put into this. And yeah, like I've definitely worked, like last year I worked for an air conditioner. Like, fine. Yes, I will make a video for an air conditioner. Great. And there's like a pants company that I've reached out to a few times that I will happily take their pants and do a video for. So like coming up with your own stuff and your own boundaries. Yeah. Any suggestions on where to find pricing examples? So I'll give you my like pricing right now. A video I need like $1,200 for, and then I am doing extra money for usage. That being said, Printify pays me $600, and that's my lowest partnership, but it's also the most consistent. They're doing that twice a month for me. I'm also I'm also reposting that video on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube. So that is like a little bit of work to redo that. But it's also Printify is so connected with my brand. I'm really comfy making those videos over and over again. It's a really low lift for me. So that range changes. Bigger brands, I'm going to ask for more money. Smaller brands, I'm going to do it for less. And then I'm just going to like gauge that per conversation. What was the air conditioner company? Shoot. It is Windmill Air. They have a cute little pink fan too. That should be somewhere in my office. I don't see it right now. And let's see. Do you need to start with a financial pitch to set the expectation? I think it just depends. Like I haven't given this pants company pricing yet because I'm just hoping for some pants from them. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm going to stop my share. I am working on a longer, extensive brand partnership class, and that should be coming in May also. So keep an eye out for that too if you need a little bit more hands-on help. Look at my brand script. That's going to help you with the process. If you're still really confused, that's normal. I would suggest just start with the practice. I know it's scary. And if you need some more support, I also do one-on-one coaching as well. And I'm happy to give you guys a discount on coaching. I can circle back with Allison and Kristen about that. If you want to work with me one-on-one. And yeah, it'll be a take at your own time partnership class. That'll be pretty extensive coming out in May with all of the support for all of these different sections of partnerships.
Phoebe, thank you so much. This has been super eye-opening. I love your
Thank you.
approach. We really appreciate the scripts, the information. I already downloaded some of the materials. They're phenomenal, so I encourage everyone to do the same. And we'll follow up with the recording, with your links. Keep in touch as you're launching your next iteration, the expanded course. It sounds like a great resource. We'd love to share it among the community. But thank you. I feel like we got all our wheels turning today. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we will share this soon. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck. Take care.